Perfect. Shows us live on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, that's funny. I just now got all of those messages.
Oh.
Okay. Just going to keep sharing this out momentarily.
Oh my goodness. Juliet, I do want to warn you, a message just came up that I have unstable internet connection. So
Okay.
It might be a rocky road ahead of us.
It may be, but that is okay. It looks like this is also acting a little bit finicky. So we'll just go ahead and get started, and we'll run with it as long as we can. I already see a lot of folks that are hopped on for our Monday broadcast, and I'm so pleased to bring this to you to share information, resources available at your fingertips, and of course to allow for some dialogue to open up and for us to have this communication channel with one of our elected officials. Now, for those of you that are hopping on this broadcast and you have not met me before, I am Juliet Abdel, the President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. I'm so excited to continue to bring live broadcasts. We've been hosting these from last March until today. Many of them can be found in the video section here on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, that's Westminster Chamber of Commerce. Now, if you did not know this, we are on several other social platforms, so feel free to engage with us on Twitter and Instagram at Westy Chamber. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and we send out newsletters to keep you posted on things that are going on in our business community and overall community. Now, if you are not connected with us on all of those platforms, please feel free to do so. If you have an interest in getting on any of our email communications, you can always DM us as well. Now, Mondays, we always kick off with the mayor, who gives us updates on not only COVID and what that looks like here in our city or county and our state, but also provide us with a quick overview on other important topics that are going on in our community. Now, we do have a little bit of connectivity / instability issues, so please bear with us if there are some tech hiccups that arise, but I do appreciate the patience that you all have. And Mayor, with that, I will go ahead and have you get us started. I do see on here, before I turn it over to you, I see with us Mayor Pro Tem Dave DeMont. Hello to you, good morning. I also see our past board chairman, Brian Head, our current board chairman, Peter Brissett. Good morning to you both, and a few other folks that are on here. It's just taking me a second to be able to pull the comments for some reason. So I know you guys have commented on here, and I will do my part, if I can't pull them up, to at least verbalize them to our mayor. With that, Mayor Seitz, I will go ahead and just quickly turn this over to you to get us started. There's a lot of information, so let's get right to it.
Well, thank you again to the Chamber and to you specifically, Juliet, for having me today. And thank you to all of you who have tuned in. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize that I believe this last weekend was a big deal for Juliet Abdel. And I hope you don't mind, Juliet, but I'd like to take a moment to recognize it. My understanding is this last weekend you passed the crown on. As I would imagine most of you know, Juliet is really a Wonder Woman. And that's not surprising if you've spent more than 5 minutes with her. But she has represented our state as Miss Colorado this last year. And she has done quite a bit of community service during that period of time. So I, for one, just want to say thank you for your continued leadership, for your ambassadorship, and for your service. And just say congratulations. Always impressed by you. Can you remind me, Julia, how did you rank nationally? I think you were in the top 10, weren't you?
Yes, thank you so much. for that. I had no idea you were going to mention this. But yes, so I actually was able to set the record with 76 appearances last year. So even throughout COVID, and then we ranked in the top 6 for Colorado nationally, won 2 awards, publications, Fabulous Faces, and a couple of others. But just to be able to represent Colorado and share not only the diversity that we have, but the amazing professionalism that we bring to the table. That was one of the biggest things that I hoped to bring forward. And honestly, during COVID, it was a great outlet for me. And I feel like everyone found what's another creative thing that we can do for our mental health and our well-being.
I don't think everyone took it to the same level you did, but I appreciate that vote of confidence. Do you want to take just a quick moment to highlight the nonprofits that you work with?
Yes, thank you so much. So one of my own that is very near and dear to me that I actually retain a spokesperson position with is the American Heart Association. Most of you know that I'm an aneurysm survivor. I'm also a caregiver to a heart and stroke survivor. So we have done a number of things and have reached, since February alone, over 14.5 million people. We're in 30,000 different doctor offices, from runs that we've had all the way to drives that we've hosted, and one-on-one coffee and tea type of programs, to writing love notes during Valentine's Day to those substance abuse centers here in Colorado. We saw a huge increase in uptick in opioid use and just drug addiction. And so it was very important for us to provide them with some love, especially around that time. A Precious Child was another one that we were able to support. The NICU division at Colorado's community, or Colorado Children's Hospital, was another. But there are numerous ones, and I hate to even try and go through it so I don't butcher them all, but those are some of the ones that just really touched me because they dealt with a lot of those issues in our community at the foundational level.
Well, I'm just going to offer right now that I'd like to make a donation to one of those. So if you text me which one you'd like, I will make a donation today. But thank you so much for all of your service and your work this last year on behalf of the Miss Colorado organization. So I'm going to switch gears now and go back to my report. I also wanted to acknowledge that yesterday was the 77th anniversary of D-Day. The invasion of Normandy changed the course of history. Our country, united with our allies, fought the danger of fascism and hypernationalism. As an elected leader, it's been troubling for me to see symbols of the regime so many servicemen died fighting against being waived in recent years by U.S. citizens. I'm proud that our country stood up to the evil of Nazism. And while I believe in free speech, I am horrified by the growth of right-wing extremism and growing anti-Semitism in our country. I plan to honor our heroes of D-Day and of all of World War II by continuing to practice the ideals of our country and reject hate and bigotry in all forms. I've asked Juliet to include a link to the Anti-Defamation League. There is really a horrifying rise in anti-Semitism going on right now. And if you're interested at all in this, you can look at some statistics.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I've included that link into the comment section. It's also displayed on the screen. I think you've raised such an important and relevant topic, especially with everything that's going on. And just to remember and appreciate the sacrifice that we had so many Americans put their life on the line in that fight against not only Hitler, but all of those National Socialist Nazi Party activities that they were doing. And let's make sure that that doesn't continue to still rise right now. That should not be going on. So I appreciate you bringing some light to this.
I appreciate it. I have to tell you, it felt timely. This last weekend, I was able to enjoy an event that really highlighted Westminster's roots to the Jewish community. I enjoyed the opening night of the play The Land and Milk and Honey. It was at Schoenberg Farms, and it's a site-specific immersive theater experience that was put on by the Catamounts. That's a theater company that we have partnered with for 3 years. We've commissioned to do very Westminster-specific plays. And so you actually get to walk through the Schoenberg property, which for me was wonderful. To be inside that barn and the adjacent milking buildings is kind of exciting, and to watch our history come to life. So it's one of Westminster's most historic properties. The state's agricultural and philanthropic Am I still live? Are you there, Juliet? It looks like the screen has changed.
I'm still with you.
Okay, great. Sorry. All the computer trouble, I thought I might be off. So I don't know if folks know, but Schoenberg Farm helped produce the milk and eggs that went to the National Jewish Center to help fight tuberculosis. So this play goes through state agriculture, philanthropic, immigrant, and healthcare heritage, and how we kind of come together as community during pandemics. So it just feels timely, timeless, and it's a great experience. There is a link. It's a great experience. There is a link. Specific your experience. Okay. Any questions about that? It was a lot of fun. Even my 15-year-old daughter liked it.
It sounds like a blast. Yeah.
It was a blast. It was a real blast. I have one other special event announcement that I'm really excited to make. We are going. One other special by at 9:50 at night. We're only going to provide fireworks. There's no pre-show activities, no entertainment. But if that really is something that you still want to participate in, we have created a partnership with Northglenn. So Westminster residents are welcome to go to Northglenn, where they will have, a car show, food trucks, etc. during the day, and then come back to City Park in the evening to watch the fireworks. This is made possible because of that partnership with Northglenn, and then I believe also sponsorship with St. Anthony's North.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I don't want to lose sight of this. Some of my comments finally loaded up on this end. So we mentioned the Schoenberg Farms, this super cool event that they had last weekend with the milk and honey. They were able to provide the community, the Jewish community in specific. Information on City of Westminster special events can be found at the city's website. We've included that link for you as well. Super exciting to hear about the 4th of July and some of those activities that will be going on in partnership with the City of Westminster and, of course, Northglenn. For those of you that are interested in more information on that, we've also included the link directly into the comment section of this video broadcast. Now that some of these have loaded up, I just want to go ahead and pull these so you see them as well, Mayor. A good morning message that comes through from Parker Brown, one that we had also received from Brian Head, and then of course from Alberto Garcia. Appreciate you so much for your kind words. Both of you, both Mayor Seitz and Alberto, you both really have brought a whole new level into Westminster, and I'm just so blessed to be able to work one-on-one with you all as well. We also have a nice good morning note from Brian Dice, who shared a message, and I'm thank you so much for bringing in all of these different points that are going on in the city, from activities that are happening to recognizing specific historical days that are very important for us to learn from history so we don't repeat. But with that, I'll turn this back over to you because I know there's still some more that's on your radar and on your plate that you're hoping to get out there for folks.
Yeah, so tonight obviously is a study session for Westminster City Council, but we also have a special meeting. And the goal of that special meeting, or the purpose of that special meeting rather, is to try to determine who will receive the appointment to serve the next 2.5 years as a Westminster City Councilor, fulfilling the vacancy from my term when I stepped into the role of mayor. And I know we've talked about this the last few weeks, but I did want to be kind of a little bit more fine grained and go into the process tonight because it's a little bit confusing. And for someone watching might wonder why we do it this way. Council does set the protocols or the process on how we make the appointment, but our charter does say we have 30 days and we shall make an appointment within 30 days. If we are not able to hit consensus, we do go to an election at that point. But it is our obligation by our charter to try. Currently, we have 8 candidates who were interviewed, and council will vote on these candidates tonight. If there is not a candidate who receives the majority of votes, the candidates that received no votes will be removed from the potential candidates, and we will have 4 more votes of the candidates who remain. So even if you got 1 vote in that first round, your name will remain for those 4 more rounds. If at that time, after 5 rounds of voting, there is not a majority candidate or a candidate who received the majority of votes, all of the names come back in and we have a vote and the process repeats. So it has the potential before you get to a consensus candidate to just have a lot of iterations because we have those multiple votes. Earlier last week, I had kind of come up with this idea perhaps we could have for the first round of voting instead a form of ranked choice voting where maybe each counselor comes up with 3 of their top candidates, and those candidates all stay in the queue, and that way we would know who is maybe someone's second choice, and it might get us to consensus faster. I did bring this idea forward to a member of council. To change our process at this point would take a unanimous vote of council, and there just wasn't, it didn't appeal. So I think with something as important as the process for who we're going to appoint for a 2.5-year term, we have to have everyone feeling incredibly comfortable with the process. So this is going to be a little slow, potentially not, but it could be slow. But I would just ask you to bear with us. This is the process set forward, and we will all do our best, I know, to serve the community with this choice. So
Mayor, if I can just hop in, as it relates to if there isn't a consensus and this does go to a vote, this isn't something that's like a pro bono thing that is run. I know the answer to this, but I'm saying it so that we can let people know, what does that actually look like for the city to go in and run a voting process outside of, if there's not a consensus that's reached this evening, which hopefully there'll be something that transpires or comes out of it. But if that were to have to go to a vote.
Okay, so if it was have to go to a vote, depending on the time of year, let's say just in general, it would be a special election, and those cost a lot of money. City is not set up to run our own elections, so we need to coordinate with the county clerks. And so I think the cost, I think, for the recall special election is around $250,000, I believe.
Okay.
Because of the timeline with this, my understanding is most likely this would be combined with the November ballot. Reason being, we have some federal laws that we need to comply with to make sure that our service members receive a ballot in enough time for them to meaningfully participate in the election. And so I believe all of this coalesces then with a state law that we can't have a special election within 90 days of a regularly scheduled election. So my understanding is it would, if we cannot get to consensus tonight, that it would there would be a vacancy that would hold until November, which is a long time.
And that would be separate from the special election that would be happening because of the recall. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Yeah, thank you for that question. And I know it's confusing, a lot of election talk in Westminster right now, but if anyone has follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you going in detail. It can be a lot, and there are different layers to this process.
If there's no question, I'd love to switch to the next item of business that's back on our study session calendar. Yeah. While it may not be the most exciting thing we talk about, it's definitely not fireworks at the park. It is fundamentally one of the most important documents that we have. It is, tonight we're going to get a presentation on our comprehensive annual financial report. So this goes over our report of what did we do last year? How did we serve this community? And I always find it a source of both pride and a really great synopsis of where we've been. I thought it was particularly relevant for this audience tonight or today. So I'm just going to run through some of the highlights that are within it, but I'd recommend to anyone who's really curious about Westminster to take a peek at it. I think you'd be proud of the what we were able to accomplish during the crazy year of COVID. So first off, we weathered COVID pretty darn well. The city of Westminster continued to deliver exceptional value and quality of life through our spirit values, which, to remind everyone, are service, pride, integrity, responsibility, innovation, and teamwork. They were tested as the city took on the challenge of a 100-year pandemic in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic played havoc on our finances, but we managed the crisis by implementing first a strategic hiring and spending freeze. We utilized 2019 savings or appropriations to help meet the gap. We made program changes to reflect a virtual world, and we used federal relief dollars to help get us through. We did not have to have any layoffs or furloughs. We repurposed employees whose jobs changed dramatically. The city's work police department, fire department, public works, and more. Many employees did become ill with COVID-19, which further impacted the delivery of services for the community. But our staff managed new revenues coming in well. We tracked expenses that could be reimbursed from different grant opportunities. The most significant grant opportunities we received were from the federal government, the CARES Act, and the Coronavirus Relief Fund. And they were passed through from the counties. We had IGAs with both counties. We got over $5 million from Adams County and $3,471,000 for Jefferson County. The reason I thought this was relevant is I just wanted to remind people that we really focused right away on economic recovery. We wanted to aid the recovery of our local economy by providing businesses with grants and other support, and we spent $4 million on that. We also focused on social recovery. We wanted to make sure people retain quality of life in Westminster, providing programs that rebuild community connections and promoted wellness. That was about $728,000. And then people and programs. We provide and helped partners supply housing and food security to the vulnerable. And that was $750,000 going to those programs. So really, quite a bit that we jumped in and were able to help allocate. It sounds crazy, but spending in a short period of time can be difficult to do, and we did it wisely. We didn't waste money. We were really intentional, but that was because of the focus of where we needed to implement and partnering with groups like yours. So thank you so much. The last pot of money that I wanted to talk about was that local government recovery, and that was $3.5 million that we used to help with city services. So I don't know if there's any questions on that, but I did think that that's a pretty great highlight that was detailed in the report. There's a lot more information in there, so I really encourage people to take a peek at the document. Any questions from anyone?
I don't see any questions that are coming on quite yet. I do see other folks that continue to hop on. We have with us Mayor Slights providing us an update from special events to recognizing D-Day, of course, talking through the appointment process, special elections, costing, moving on into how last year looked as it related to recovery, COVID dollars that came through. Brian had commented earlier, Mayor, and just kind of had shared that hopefully the council can reach a consensus that it would be an important step toward moving forward as a more unified city. And I think it's a very important sentiment for people to recognize. We need to be moving forward instead of trying to create obstacles that prevent us from progress. So thank you for that, Brian. Appreciate your thoughts. It looks like I have another comment. This one came to us from Peter Brissett. It was about what other support. So one of the areas that we talked about using the funds the city had used from those, the dollars received from federal and the counties went toward a number of areas: economic development, social recovery, people and programs, and then of course the last of those, the local government recovery. On the economic recovery piece, it did share that there was aid to the local economy through grants, and then there was other support. And so I believe Peter's asking, what does the other support mean?
It means a lot of things, and we can kind of go through all of those, but some highlights. one of the first things we did was providing masks to local businesses, right? Who didn't want to ask their customers perhaps to leave if they didn't have a mask, but have masks available so customers could put them on when they came in. We had a navigator program to reach out to local businesses directly to help them understand what are the new health guidelines, because as you all remember, they were changing rapidly. And so many business owners they were having their own struggles just keeping their doors open and trying to function in their core business. And so monitoring public health orders was difficult. So we had a navigator program to assist with that. So those are two kind of top of mind examples, but I'm more than happy to come back next week with a detailed list of what that all was.
Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate that. Any additional questions for our mayor on some of these items that we've referenced before we move on to the next few COVID-related updates? I don't see anything.
So I recognize we only have about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to go auctioneer style on the COVID update. And the reason I can do this is it is very good news for the most part. So we are continuing to see a downward trend. But I did want to answer a question from last week. Juliet, I had mentioned that the Fat Cats testing was closing down, and you had asked, well, where are people going to get tested? It seems like there is still prevalence, particularly in the unvaccinated populations or the populations where they haven't had their second vaccine. How do we get them tested to keep our eyes on this disease that hasn't left us yet? The good news is there is testing. While Fat Cats has closed, there is free testing available at Front Range Community College for anyone who needs it, and that's just off 112th and in between Sheridan and Federal. For folks who don't know it, I actually benefited from that this week. I have a 9-year-old daughter who came down with a cough and a sore throat, and I was pretty terrified. But we were able to get her tested, get our results back within 24 hours. She was negative, and this was an old-fashioned cold, which is a novelty that I never thought I would be happy to experience, but it was better than the alternative. The next thing I want to highlight is, you may have heard, we had our very first COVID vaccine millionaire. And I thought it was really fitting. She lives in Meade, Colorado, but she is a healthcare worker. And so that was the very first. If you've been COVID hesitant, I don't know if $1 million is going to get you to help make up your mind to get the vaccine. But I like the innovation and the idea behind it. And it adds a little fun and enthusiasm for those who maybe are wanting to focus on better aspects. So anyway, just thought I would highlight that. I'm going to real quick go through the data. I'm going to start with Jefferson County, which is really exciting. The 7-day average of positivity testing in Jefferson County is only at 1.8%. And so remember, this is huge news. This is a sign that we have turned the corner. The hospitalization rate is at 0.77 per 100,000 people. To reminder, to get out of code clear or level clear, to go into level blue, it would need to be at 2. So we are well below that threshold. The 7-day cumulative counts is 219 new cases. So that is only 37.6 per 100,000 people. This is great news. Great news for Jeffco. You are doing wonderfully. And then this last number that I'm really excited to share is 70.9% of folks 12 years or older in Jeffco have at least one vaccine. That's a great number. So thank you, Jeffco. You are doing great. Tri-County Health presents their data a little bit different. So just forgive me as I go through. Forgive me as I go through. Forgive me as I go through.
I believe there's a little bit of a lag from our mayor. Okay.
Oh, was it on?
Yes, as you were pulling the Tri-County information.
Okay, well, I'm not sure exactly where I was lost, but the 14-day incident rate per 100,000, when you include congregant care in Adams County, is 109.9. So that's 14-day incident rate. So looking much, much better. Almost wish I could share my screen with you to show you some of the graphs, but we're looking better there. And let me just pull up real quick. I'm actually on the website as we speak right now, which is probably why the connection is not liking it. All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great.
While we're navigating, I do see Mayor Demont had, or Mayor Pro Tem Demont had, excuse me, had typed in this comment about library kiosks. These have just recently opened over at the City Park Fitness Center and the Westview Rec Center to help residents with reading. And you can even return your library items to these locations. Council will be there and library staff this Saturday for that ribbon cutting.
Correct. We were there last Saturday, actually. Okay. Our Mayor Pro Tem Demont was there with me, and it was a really neat. They spent a lot of time trying to curate the right collection for folks who would enjoy, would be at our fitness centers. They utilize radio frequency ID. So as you put in your library card and you pull out a book, it knows exactly which ones you took out of the kiosk and which ones you put back. So it's a great use of innovation again, to bring literacy opportunities into the community, because not everybody has the opportunity or the time to make it to our libraries. So I thought it was a great program. It was a fortuitous program. It had been in the works prior to COVID-19, and couldn't think of a better time to implement it. Well, maybe 6 months ago, but,
right.
But it was still a great program that we have. And I'm going to apologize. The Tri-County site seems to not be pulling up for me. I am having some internet connectivity issues. But I did want to say one of the reasons I don't have all of the data at my fingertips as I typically do is City Council is no longer getting weekly reports on COVID-19. And I take this as a good sign. We are at a point with this disease that we feel comfortable having a little bit less sharp of an eye monitoring it. And so staff's only giving us these reports every other week. And I think that's good. We're putting them back to the highest and best use of their skill set.
I think that's terrific for sure. Definitely positive news. And I also see Jason, our trader friend, has hopped on here to give us a hey guys, Parks, Recreation, and Library Mayor, and Juliet's favorite department. Thank you, Jason, for hopping on. And for being a part of the library kiosk. We know that was part of your efforts as well in your time with the city. I also see Tara and a couple other people that are hopped onto this broadcast with us. We have Mondays with our Mayor Sites is with us, giving us updates not only on COVID, but everything going on in our city, from special events to programming to city council study sessions and what's next in their appointment process. If you are hopping onto this broadcast a little bit later and did not get a chance to ask us any questions in real time, you can always ask it of us later on. You can even give us a hashtag replay so we know you tuned in later, or just ask the page or DM us a specific question. We'll get that over to the mayor so that she can provide us with that answer. Do you have any additional closing remarks before I officially close this out, Mayor? Well, if Mayor Seitz does regain connection, I'll have her kind of come on here and do a closing remark. Before I let you all go, please note that we are starting to resume our programs and events. We'll begin here in the month of July with our partners over at Highland Hills Park and Recreation Department. We actually have a half-day event that's planned over at Carol Butts Athletic Center Park from 8 a.m. to noon on Saturday, July the 17th. So if you are pet friendly, have kids or a family, and want to just enjoy the days outdoor and support the Highland Hills Foundation, please join us on that event on the 17th of July. There is no cost for people to attend. We are offering vendor space and sponsorships as well. Welcome back, Mayor. Do you have any final statements before we close this out?
Just thank you everyone for bearing with me as I have internet issues this morning, or I guess it's still this morning now. I apologize for going late. There's a lot to be excited about in Westminster. I know we talk a lot about the concerns about division on council, but I will tell you, I think an optimistic way to look at that is that there's benefit in debating policy before we approve it. And so we're hearing from multiple perspectives that exist in our community. And I do believe that I serve with my colleagues to put the interests of Westminster before everything else. And I look forward to having a robust conversation with my colleagues tonight as we figure out who is that next leader that will serve this community.
Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Those are definitely great words for us to almost end on. We had a question sneak in, so I want to ask it of you before you go. And this is by Tara asking, as it relates to free lunches, if those will be back over at Westminster Park.
So I know we have free lunches, but I would be remiss if I said they were at Westminster City Park when I'm not 100% certain of that. They may have changed locations. I'm 90% sure they will be there, but please let me check. Tara, please tune in next week. Write down the questions and I will have an answer to that for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mayor. And Chris, thank you for hopping onto the broadcast. This video will be available for you to replay at any point in time. Appreciate you, Mayor, for staying on here a little bit longer than planned. And of course, to all of you, our amazing audience, if you've not already done so, please hit the share button, hit the like button, give us some of those loving reactions so we can continue to come on here and boost our self-esteem for this week. We appreciate you and all you do. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Bye.